So Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be getting a HBO series from none other than Craig Mazin, who probably know him from being the main creative director, showrunner of HBO's Last of Us series. And, not everyone was happy about this. And I think that's primarily because the second season of The Last of Us was not terribly well received. I still have hope that they'll be able to bring it all together in the third season, but with news that the third season will be the last season, most likely, I'm not sure if they'll quite have enough time to do it, and I think a lot of fans are worried. But as for Craig, he is taking what he learned on adapting The Last of Us for HBO and bringing it to Baldur's Gate 3. So this is from Twisted Voxel, who writes, oh, and also it's written by Salah Awan. Larian Studios has confirmed that it's not directly involved in the development of HBO's upcoming live-action Baldur's Gate television series, despite the show being positioned as a narrative continuation of Baldur's Gate 3. The clarification comes from Larian Studio CEO Swen Vinke, who shared his thoughts on the project and its relationship to the studio's acclaimed role-playing game. Reacting to the announcement of the series, Vinke reflected on how far the franchise had come, saying, quote, "Crazy that a story that started out in a small hotel conference room eventually evolved into a narrative inspiring enough for it to become an HBO series." He emphasized the effort Larian invested into the game's storytelling, adding, "We worked incredibly hard on making Baldur's Gate 3 worthy of its legacy. Its characters and narratives are a result of many teams working together, and I can speak for them all in saying that we think it's cool, and we hope what comes next will enjoy the same level of passion." He also suggested that Baldur's Gate 3 was intentionally structured to allow future stories to emerge from its conclusions. The ending of Baldur's Gate 3 were created so that they could serve as narrative soil for new adventures. There's plenty of directions they could go. I'm eager to find out which ones Craig and his team will pick. He noted that Craig Mazin, who is leading the HBO project, has already reached out to Larian. He's reached out to us for a chat, so we'll have the opportunity to tell him our thoughts. When asked directly whether any Larian writers were consulting on the series, he replied, "Not to my knowledge, but Craig did reach out and ask if we could come over to the studio and speak with us. From the conversation we had, I truly think that he's a big fan, which gives me hope." HBO has officially greenlit the Baldur's Gate series, which is being developed in partnership with Hasbro Entertainment. Rather than adapting the game's main campaign, the show is intended to function as a direct sequel to the events of Baldur's Gate 3. So that's obviously extremely interesting, a very unique way to take it. So one of the things that people often get upset about adaptations of any kind, be that book or, manga, comics, to movies, is oftentimes the writers of these shows and movies will not adapt everything beat for beat, and people will be upset. Big example of that from a game, what point of view, is The Witcher 3. The Witcher series on Netflix, where there's a lot of consternation surrounding how accurate it was being adapted. Henry Cavill, the main star of the first few seasons of the show, was really outspoken about how he wanted it to be very close to the source material, and unfortunately that wasn't the case, and he ended up leaving the show over that. By doing a story afterwards, you kind of, I guess, avoid that problem, but you get into another problem, which is, which ending are you going to make canon? There's a lot of endings for Baldur's Gate 3. You're going to have to pick one. And another recent adaptation, Fallout, on Amazon, had to do a similar thing, and yeah, people weren't happy about it. You're probably never going to be able to please video games fans unless you beat for beat adapt something like the first season of The Last of Us, but then the second season of Last of Us wasn't as well received because they didn't, adapt it as well. And I think a lot of people saw that coming. I really enjoy the games, but I did not think the second game was as strong of a story in terms of the pacing, and if it ever went to series, it was not going to be well received, and that's what happened. So, if you're a fan of Baldur's Gate 3, are you excited for an adaptation, or do you think there's just too many moving parts for such a huge game that you just don't think that it could possibly be adapted well? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm very eager to hear. I'm not a Baldur's Gate 3 fan. I've just never played it, but I might have to play it now before the show comes out so I can be one of the people potentially outraged at any choices that they made. Anyways, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments. Thank you so much for checking it out. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe. We have new videos coming out all the time here on this channel. Also, check out our main channel, Wiki and Everything, for more video essays on video games there. We also have a sports channel where we cover sports called Wicked Sports, a podcasting channel called Better Radio, and our newest channel, which is called History is Wicked, where we cover cryptids, urban legends, and weird history stories. Again, thank you so much for checking this one out, and I will see you in the next one.